Okay, and welcome to the Freedom Hustles podcast. This is episode 34. So today, John, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
Bit of gardening today. Over the last couple of days, actually, been doing a few bits. I've done some work this morning, and then spent a couple of hours outside. In between hail and storms, and it's been a weird sort of weather day by itself.
Yes, it's been a very, very strange day. We've had the sun out and then the rain, and it's been so heavy rain. So before we get into the podcast, I've just remembered, obviously I haven't done an intro for a while. I am Andy Lehman from freedomskillsacademy.com, and I'm with...
Hello, John Banks over at sideincommand.com.
How can I forget the most important part? But hey, if anybody's been listening for a while, they know who we are. So so last week's was a good podcast. Today, John, we're doing something similar. Is that right?
Yeah, so last week, for those that listened on, that was all about, why things like comparing yourself to others, and especially in the online world, is not really a good idea. And we talked quite a lot about that, and we shared a few points around that. And this one's kind of a similar one, which is basically we're talking about why it's a similar sort of thing, but why you basically shouldn't worry about, what other people think. And whenever you're going to enter into these kind of online fields, and it sort of exposing yourself a bit, and maybe kind of showing yourself, and perhaps maybe even some sort of vulnerabilities and things like that, you're bound to get a few people that are just going to say some stuff which they may try and put you down and sort of knock you off your pedestal a bit, and perhaps dent your confidence. It happens all the time. And you really have to kind of learn to sort of, just fight it off, really. And just you always have to learn to sort of ignore this sort of noise, because you will get it. It's sort of part and parcel of it, I'm afraid.
You will get it, definitely, especially with social media. I mean, I've had a couple with some videos I did on Facebook. You see people reading, placing comments, and you think, you're criticizing me for whatever video I did or whatever it is. But, I find a lot of people criticize the ones who don't actually do anything, really. They're just
always
funny people. But like you said, you've got to ignore stuff, because if you look at the story of poor Caroline Flack, who committed suicide because of all the grief that you get, it's an unfortunate and insidious part of modern... I don't know if it's part of human nature or if it's just part of modern life, but people are can be quite vile on the internet. And as you say, you've got to... The thing is, if you want to get anywhere in life, you've got to do it. I mean, we're doing this now. When we first started, it was a bit like, a couple of, probably not so much you, but a middle-aged man, me,
I'm
doing podcasts on video. You're catching me up. So, and it's like, what are people going to think? And, you sometimes you think about other people and you think, no, actually, sod it, I want to do this because there's results that I want at the end of it. And it doesn't have any bearing on them, and they've got no bearing on me. I don't really. You just got to sort of get past that sort of fear and just think, no, this is what I'm going to do. And I think a lot of really successful people have got laser focus. I'm not saying that they don't feel sometimes the comments and they're not completely ignoring it, but the fact is they do not give a monkey's stuff about what other people think about them, because if they did, they won't get anywhere. And a prime example of this is, there's been a couple really, but I mean, if you think of David Beckham in, I can't remember which World Cup it was now, when he managed to give away a penalty to Argentina, and they knocked us out of the World Cup. Do you remember
he got
that?
sent off for something, didn't he? I think. I remember
basically,
that.
I think he kicked his leg out, and
that's it. He got loads of aggro, didn't he, over that?
Got absolutely loads of aggro.
Press and everything.
And he could have then... he could have then given up, but basically he managed to get himself back into a position where eventually he came back a hero, another football hero. He took himself from that bad position. And it was just, if he hadn't of ignored the British public, if he had not, the English public, if he had not, had the strength to sort of carry on, then, that could have destroyed him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, isn't it? I mean, you do have to just carry it. I mean, like you say, I don't want to get all sort of deep, and but we are only here once, and I think if you sort of ponder and worry about stuff too much, you never do anything. I mean, I've done loads of stuff, and you yourself as well, like we and us together, like that I've done loads of stuff that hasn't worked out, and I've failed at loads of things. When you try something, it doesn't work. Okay, so what? You just move on and do something else, or keep working at it, or tweak things and change stuff. And we've talked about that loads of times before on the podcast as well. People, you are going to fail at things. That's okay as well. I mean, that's good in some ways. Because you learn from that, and then you kind of you sort of move on, and you can position yourself differently, and I think as well, it's difficult, but I think as you get older as well, definitely, certainly now, as I'm sort of in my 40s now, but I don't want to sound like I don't want to sort of sound like I'm out of order here, or anything like that, but you definitely are more selective of who you kind of share your stuff with, who you become friends with, who you talk to about certain things. And I definitely do that now, because I know that I've got friends in certain circles that wouldn't have one bit of interest in any of this stuff that we do, or that we do, or we talk about. I could tell them, do you want to make a book? Here's how to do it. Do you want to make a website? Here's how to do it. Do you want to learn how to sell notebooks on Amazon? Here's how to do it. In your case, you want to learn how to become a copywriter. Do you want to work from home? Do you want to work on your own terms? They're all great for us. We love all that sort of stuff, but some people just don't quite. They'd either go straight on the negative and say, nope, it's never going to work out. It's the wrong way of doing things, that you're wasting your time. Or they're going to try and put you down, saying it will never, you won't achieve nothing. Do you know what I mean? This, that, and the other. They've been kind of programmed in a way which is a certain way, and that is fine. So you just accept that. So you don't kind of need to share your stuff with them people, and therefore you don't really have to care what they think about what you're doing. It makes no point. There's no point caring about it, because it isn't going to make a difference. They're not going to add any value. They're not going to contribute anything to what you're trying to do. So you've literally got to learn to just bounce it off. If they're negative about stuff, just all right, mate, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you've got to become a lot more selective. I'm very much like that now. There's certain people you talk to, and certain people you don't. And I find myself distancing from those kind of people as well. But if you start to worry about what people think, then you don't do it. And then if you don't do it, you don't end up experiencing the life that you want to live, and you don't do things on your own terms. And that has to be really the hardest pain to deal with. Whatever pain you get from these people being sort of negative, or bitching you down, or moaning and groaning, or criticizing, or whatever they do, it's fleeting in many ways. I mean, there's a saying that I often love, and that is, this time next year we'll be laughing about it. And it is. It's just, you can do a video and you can stick it online, and you can get loads of bad feedback, and it could be really, really crap. And then you think, the world's ending, but you just know that this time next year, you won't really matter, be in the past. I know the thing with the internet, it's often there. You can always go back and find it and trace it, which is obviously why you need to be careful what you say. But the truth is, people are always going to knock you down for trying your best, but you're doing it for yourself, not for them. That's the other thing. You're doing it for yourself, not for them. We've set ourselves up. We've opened up ourselves to all forms of criticism. Every time you do something, such as you set yourself a blog, if you do a podcast, if you write a book and you publish that, as soon as somebody, someone comes bumps into you in the street one day and says, "Hey, I saw your podcast the other day. What the hell are you doing? Are you making a flit out yourself?" sort of thing. We've put ourselves in that position. It's going to happen. You can't get away from it. Like you say, you just got to sort of nod your head and say, yeah. It also goes back to the idea that talking to certain people always seem to want to give you advice. And it's often funny that the ones who want to give you the advice probably know less about the actual topic than you do.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they happen to know everything, the ins and outs. Oh, you don't want to do that. Like you say, that's not the way to do it. You don't make any money, are you? And then you're like, so what actually do you know about this industry? Well, and they don't know anything. So again, it's you've got to do this for yourself. And if you start worrying about what people are saying, you're going to not do it. And it's a big shame, because really that's just, I suppose it's the ego, the fear and rejection from people. But why do you want to fear being rejected by people who don't really know what they're doing, or they're not prepared to put themselves any further? You know what I mean? If they're happy just doing what they're doing for the rest of their life, and you don't want to do that, then you've got two options. That is either to do something and deal with the shit that comes with it. Excuse my language there. So you've got to either deal with that, or you just don't do anything and stay with them, which is a miserable little existence, really.
I mean, that's just it, isn't it? Like you say, there's, you've got there's these people, there's like these doers, and then there's the people that just sort of plod along, isn't there? And it often, like you say, you get the criticism from the people that I would consider are just sort of plodding along. Again, which is fine. That's the path that they want to take, and that's fine. But there'll also be the same people that will be moaning about it. They will moan about that. Oh, bloody hell! I've got to do this again. That's what I think. With episode 34, we've never sworn. Yeah, we've both just sworn within 30 seconds of each other. But
it's obviously a passionate thing about us.
Yeah, well, we're getting a bit wound up about this one. But I'll probably bleep them out. Anyway, so you get the type of people that sort of plod along and they drift through life, and they'll be the ones that will probably be the sort of keyboard warriors, or the people that you might even be sitting in a job or whatever like that, and doing a side hustle or sort of a part-time gig, and they'll be the ones knocking you down on that. No, you're wasting your time, and I mean,
there's probably a lot of fear of failure in there, and they don't want to look a fool in front of their close friends and family with egg on their face or whatever. But there's a well-known saying, I can't remember who actually said it, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people say, and that is, if you're not successful, you've not failed enough. The whole purpose of success is you've got to fail, and some people may fear failing, but I mean, you look at Edison. How true the story is, I don't know, but what was it, the light bulb? He took about 10,000 attempts to make the light bulb. When people say, well, you failed all those times, he just turned around and said, well, I didn't actually fail. I just proved that method didn't work.
Just on the path to doing it, yeah.
Yeah, until you eventually got it. But most people would be giving up. Yeah. So most people would have probably given up after 2 or 3 attempts or something, but he carried on and carried on. But you are going to fail, and does it really matter? Does it matter what they think, to be fair?
No, absolutely not. And I think as long as you're enjoying yourself, I think that's a massive part now. Like you say, we enjoy doing these chats every week, and we're far, we're not exactly podcast millionaires. Christ, some of them only get like a handful of views, or some of them I haven't checked the analytics on the listeners on the podcast, but I know the YouTube one, we don't get that many. But I do get the odd message now and again from people that say, I listened to this episode the other week. It was great. Thanks very much. So then you sort of think, hang on a minute, it is good. It is worth doing. And as much as that is great, I enjoy doing it. We enjoy doing it. And this is our kind of little, get together and meet up and chat anyway. And, you've got to just sort of think, there really is no point in worrying about. And another thing that people, worrying about what people think. And you mentioned then at the start of the episode about like our age, that's a huge factor now on why people don't do stuff, and they sort of, oh no, I'm too old for that now. And you sort of think, well, how old do you have to be before, when's the cutoff point? Because there are loads of amazing businesses that are built from people and entrepreneurs that are, well into their 40s, 50s, 60s, obviously the famous ones. You got like Walt Disney, Colonel Sanders, people like that.
Hmm.
They weren't young 18, 20-year-olds. They were old in their the sort of second or third, if you like, of their life, weren't they? And like you say, they've transformed lives over the. I'm not saying you have to aim that big, but if you want to do something, and it could be anything. It could be like, if you're starting up a YouTube channel, or if you wanted to write a blog, or if you wanted to, build a website for your local town, and all these type of things. Any age, it doesn't matter. You can just do it.
Interesting. I can't actually remember the full fact itself, but I think statistically, majority of sort of millionaires and entrepreneurs and successful businesses were formed by people in their sort of 40s afterwards. It's because they've got to that point. They've learned so many lessons beforehand. They've worked for the people. Then they get to a specific sort of age. But you were saying there with sort of Colonel Sanders. I think he was 65 when he started doing his fried chicken, and he wasn't till he was in his 80s when he sold his first franchise.
Really?
What I mean? It's there's a huge amount of people of a certain age, but because of social media and TV, and I suppose with the music industry and the football, footballers are basically retiring by the time they've gone past 30. And musicians are all sort of that, their 20s. I mean, when Wayne Rooney first appeared for Everton, he was 16 or
something like that,
or younger. So there's always this thing about youth, and so you do get to sort of an age, and you've seen all these millionaires in their 20s. I earned my first million by the time I was 21, and I was 25, and I was traveling around Thailand earning several thousand a month. And often, as much as that is, people want to go, I want to learn that. It can also sort of people go, all these youngsters having a whale of a time. I'm a bit too old and a bit long in the tooth for that.
Yeah.
And it can have a sort of a negative effect on you, and that's not. It shouldn't be, because there's a lot of books have been written, a lot of sort of popular books which have been turned into films and are iconic films for years on end, have been written by people who are way past their 40s.
Yeah, definitely.
Gone with the Wind, I think that was. I don't know how old the person was when they wrote. I mean, I didn't even know. Margaret Mitchell, I think it was, Gone with the Wind. She was called Peggy Mitchell. That's why I suddenly remembered it the other day. Apparently. Yeah, because apparently the husband turned around and said, instead of reading all these books, why don't you write your own? And so she did, and it's become an iconic book of generations. So I think it's either Wuthering Heights or Gone with the Wind. I think it was Gone with the Wind. But yes, I mean, again, age is something that people worry about, and then with that, they worry about what other people think, don't they? Because it's like you say, as soon as you hit 40 odd, and the children have gone, and you've no longer got the dependents, and you've got a bit more money than you ever had, you go out and buy a sports car because it's the first time in your life that you're probably free, because you spent all your time focusing on your family and whatnot. You get a sports car, and then everybody turns around and says, he's having a midlife crisis, him. And it's like you're condemned for hitting a certain age. But, people do that. And so you've just got to, like you say, get tough skin and think,
no, I think
I don't care I don't care what you think. This is what I want to do. I want to grow. I don't want to be stuck in the same job for the next 30, 40 years. This is what I want to do. If I fail, so be it.
At least you tried. Exactly.
Yeah.
At least you tried.
What is the worst thing that could happen?
Exactly. The worst thing that could happen is you stay as you currently are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly the point. I mean, I'm getting a bit more. I appreciate a lot more now. As I'm getting older, I'm starting to appreciate, and I admire people that take, risks a bit more, and do a bit more of the type of stuff that like in the kind of online space. Someone in I'm like you say, we're in our 40s, but if people that are even older and that are setting up websites and building landing pages and capturing emails and starting up YouTube channels, and it's brilliant. I'll say it's absolutely brilliant. Massive, well done, and long may it continue. I've recently, perhaps this is my midlife crisis, but I've just recently started getting into gardening quite a bit, actually. I know it's been a bit of a sort of phase over lockdown, but
it happens.
It happens. Yeah, stopped going to the pub, and now I've started taking an interest in gardening. But there is a serious point to this, and throughout my kind of gardening journey, I've been watching loads on YouTube, and I've come across some amazing channels. And there was this one, and I don't want to say old lady because she isn't probably much older than me, but there's this lady who runs this channel, and it's amazing. And she's just on camera and she's talking about, you know, different plants and how to do certain stuff and borders and everything like that. And I was thinking, this is amazing. Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I mean, it just, if you want to do it is the kind of summary there.
Well, that woman's channel that you're talking about would not exist if she really gave us stuff about what people thought.
No,
Hopefully
exactly.
she's got friends and family who are like, yeah, go for it, you know, sort of.
Well, she's clearly
But,
knowledgeable. She knows loads about the subject, and she thought, or someone's maybe steered her into saying, well, look, you should share this knowledge, you know, and it's big enough, you know, she's part of the YouTube partner program now. She'll be making money off the ads, all the stuff we talk about. Brilliant. I'll say absolutely brilliant. Fair play to her. But yeah,
I've often thought about it. Or in fact, it was the only other day, Alice came in and saw me doing some work in the little workshop and saying, you really should do a YouTube channel, because obviously all my years working as a joiner and the skills I have. I mean, you saw the other day, I knocked up a garden bench.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In the garden, doing the gardening as you do. Yeah, so we knocked up a bench in the garden the other day, very handy skills. You know, I've often thought about doing a YouTube channel with those skills, and like you say, there's lots of people who are very knowledgeable. I mean, once you get to that sort of age, sort of 45, 50, I'm not saying you're not knowledgeable before then, but that you've had a lot of experience in a specific field, and you have a lot to share. And you know, why not do it and become a little bit of a local celebrity or a little online celebrity and earn some money from it? But again, like I say, don't let the thoughts of what people think about you stop you. If that's, you know, go for it. It's a challenge. Like you say, what's the worst can happen? 6 months line, you can go, well, that didn't work out, but give it a try.
Yep, exactly. Nothing.
At a wait of a time.
Exactly. Learn some new skills. Learn how to edit videos. Learn how to use, you know, camera software and this, that, and the other. Whatever way you come out as a winner, you don't lose, do you?
The only way you lose is, like you said earlier, you did actually say a valid point. That is the worst thing that can happen is that you just stay as you are.
Yeah.
And the fact is, as we know, with evolution, whether it be in the plant species, the human species, whatever, evolution is about growth towards. And so individually, you know, you're born to live and you live to die. But in between that point, you know, you've got to expand and grow. What is the point in being alive?
Yeah.
Having this beautiful, I mean, being human, being alive is a blessing, or being alive is a gift. Being human is a blessing, and it's you're on this wonderful planet. Why would you just want to spend your life just doing, just keeping at that level because of other people, or trying to fit in line?
I 100% agree on that. I think we should. Yeah, you should always sort of be absorbing information and, you know, stuff like that, shouldn't you? Some people learn quicker than others. Obviously, we know that. I mean, and that's again, we'll go back to the previous episode. Don't compare. It doesn't matter. Your journey is totally different to, you know, someone else's. So
people have different situations.
Everyone's got different situations. The whole makeup of the whole thing, you know, that's exactly what we talked about in episode 33. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I've sort of, I think we've kind of touched on the points really of this topic tonight. I mean, if I was going to, you know, my sort of closing thoughts would be, it can be quite tough. I get that. It all depends on the individual. But you have to understand that the people that are putting you down or putting negative thoughts in you, or it could even be someone that's wrote a comment, you don't even know them, right? In a way, I kind of feel sorry for these people because this is their outlet. They've got no positive sides. Their only outlet is to try and drag people down to where they are, or you know, to drag people down. And what a sad state of affairs that is. What a really lonely place that must be.
I think you've highlighted it. Yeah, I think you highlighted it well, though. It, as you said to me, it's. I feel sorry for some of the comments that you read, because it actually highlights. Yeah, they're probably thinking they're being clever, trying to point out the obvious or being realistic, but it actually highlights the lack of knowledge or the lack of intelligence, lack of understanding that I know of a certain subject. You know what I mean? It's like you'll see a comment and you'll say, "Well, actually, no, that's not true. That's just what you think." Based on surface value, and so you got to stop there and think: am I actually going to let your comment stop me from what I'm doing? Because I know full well that your comment is actually way off the mark. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you see people on Facebook when they comment on adverts saying spam or scam. And
Get
you think,
off my feed. What are you doing on my feed? It's like, Jesus.
It's like you obviously don't know how Facebook works.
Got no idea. Yeah.
How the advertising system works. You don't know what a spam is or scam is. It's not something that you don't like. Scam is basically unsolicited advertising, which is through email. So it's not it's not that. And a scam is basically where you rip somebody off for something, take money when it's not delivered. That's not the case here. But these people, they put all these comments and you look and you think, I really don't know what you're talking about, do you?
That cracks me up when you see that one. People think they own, so like their news feed is theirs, don't they? They think it's their own news feed and they're not allowed any adverts in there. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say, if anybody's listening and think exactly the same thing when they're on Facebook profile is free because it's free for a reason. It's because they are making you their what's the word?
You are the data, basically.
Yeah, you are their client, their customer. You know, they sell you to other people. That's why you get a free profile.
Yeah, and that's the same for all the social media accounts. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, it's been quite a good episode tonight. I think we'll wrap it up. And unless you've got anything else to add, I think we've sort of covered it, really.
No, I think that's basically everything. Is just, if there's something you want to do, go for it and don't worry about what people think.
Just go for it.
I know it's hard. It's easy to say, but just you got to do it for yourself.
Yeah,
got to do it for yourself. It's worth it.
Definitely. So. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks very much for listening. I hope that was. Yeah, that was a good one actually. I quite enjoyed that one. Some good points in that. It's good to talk about these sort of things, and yeah. So hopefully you can join us again for the next episode. My name is John Banks. You can find me over at sideincommand.com.
I'm Andy Lehman, and you can find me over at freedomskillsacademy.com. And yeah, this is episode 34. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you again next week.
Thank you very much.